So let's take a deeper dive into Rose Zhang because she's got quite the history at this course already, believe it or not, at just the age of 20. A lot of the women in the field don't have much experience at Pebble, but Rose, flashback to September, the season opener for the Stanford women was at the Carmel Cup right here at Pebble. She dominated the individual competition, setting a women's course record at 9 under with a round of 63 on the way to her 5th collegiate win. And just taking a look at what she has done in the last 3 months, it's pretty impressive stuff. Of course, winning in Georgia, was on her way to winning the Augusta National Women's Amateur Championship, followed that up with a second straight individual NCAA championship win in May, becoming the first woman to win multiple individual titles. Then just after turning pro, Zhang won her first professional start on the LPGA Tour at the Mizuho Americas Open and followed it up by finishing in a tied for 8th at the KPMG Women's PGA Championship at Baltusrol just a few weeks ago. Oh, and also, she's the betting favorite this week. So we are absolutely delighted to welcome in none other than Rose Zhang, where history is, you tend to walk there, Rose. It's so exciting to see what you've been doing over the last couple of years in your career. But here we are at Pebble. Previously, you've said you just want to make the cut in majors. You just want to make the cut. This is your 3rd professional start now. Do you feel like the betting favorite?
I definitely feel a lot of support from everyone, and I'm really feeling the love in the last couple weeks. But yeah, it's just such an honor to be a betting favorite. I would have never imagined myself to be in this position starting out last month. But you know, it's really cool. But as always, I still have pretty low expectations for what I'm going to do when I go out there. You know, this golf course is very difficult. It's U.S. Open kind of venue, so you're going to have to be able to grind out there.
Why do you have such low expectations of your performances on big venues like this?
Well, one, I got people to humble me around me. No, but I, in general, just have this mindset of you obviously have to constantly grind and you have to perfect your crafts. And the game of golf is very difficult, so being able to stay grounded is what essentially allows me to work harder and understand that you have to do your thing when you go out there.
Since you're still a student, how are you enjoying your summer break? Anything interesting happened to you in the last month or so?
Just a little bit. It's been a little bit busy, but I will say it's really nice to have just a summer break. I don't have to do schoolwork. I don't have to be grinding on P-sets. So it's really nice to take that little bit of a break. I still don't know what the logistics are for me when I go back in the fall and the winter. I'm dealing with that with my counselors, and we're trying to create a game plan and timeline of my graduation plan. But I think it's just a really cool moment for me to both balance the school life and the pro life now.
And how about this course? Obviously, we talked about how well you've played it in the past, but you've had a chance to see it a couple times. Mm-hmm. How is the setup different from what you've played in the past here?
Yeah, so the first time that I set eyes on this golf course, obviously apart from watching the AT&T Pro-Am and all the PGA Tour players play, I've seen this golf course for the first time at the Carmel Cup in 2022, and I think, first of all, it was a lot more, the weather was great. It was perfectly sunny, mid-60s, 70s, so that definitely changes up the golf course dynamic a little bit. But on top of that, it's a little bit shorter for the collegiate players, so now we have a couple tees that are moved back, specifically hole 3 and a couple other holes like hole 9. Some of them were placed on the back tees, and that changes things up a little bit. Par 3s are a little bit longer, and you're going to have a lot more iron shots, maybe even hybrid shots into it if the wind picks up. So that definitely changes the golf course dynamic and how you're playing it.
Rose, you said last week at the KPMG that you were excited to get home and get your game in pristine shape for this week, but I understand you had a bit of an odyssey in getting home. Can you tell us a bit about your adventure?
That was very difficult. I did not expect it. I had an outing at Marion on Monday, and that Monday night I was expected to go home and just take a break. But I actually hopped on my flight and we had to wait an hour and a half before everyone had to get boarded off because of the weather. There was a cell of thunder and lightning coming in, so it was just not safe to fly out. Then all our flights canceled. The entire, in the area of the Philly airport, all the hotels were booked, so we had no place to stay. So we ended up staying at an Embassy Suites in a hotel lobby and just sleeping on a couch. It was terrible. And then, you know, there were no flights the next morning. We actually had a flight booked, and we had to go to Baltimore all the way to Maryland. That flight canceled, went back to Philly, and we ended up just having to fly out to Vegas because Travis Kelce was playing the big match. So I got really lucky that my agents lined that up, because I would not have gotten home until like Thursday or Friday.
When did you get home then?
Wednesday night.
Wow.
So half my week was gone.
Yeah, how did that impact your prep for this week?
I was tired. My back was really tired. I was sitting the entire time, basically, in those 2 days. But a little bit, just everything was kind of a rush. I only had 4 days to really prep myself, just stay with my family, practice a bit. So I think those 4 days were very valuable, but definitely less than I anticipated.
Rose, your life is a whirlwind right now. I know you said coming into the KPMG Women's PGA Championship, you had to move out of your room at Stanford and you had to sort of soak up the last few days of college life. And now you've had travel debacles coming into the US Women's Open. It just sort of continues to just build on the craziness surrounding you. But I mean, we have just been so overwhelmingly impressed with how you've transitioned already to professional life. Of course, winning the Mizuho America's Open just in New Jersey not that long ago. Obviously, Michelle Wie West, you have a wonderful relationship with her. She was hosting the event. She, I imagine, is really the only person who can possibly understand the expectations that are on your shoulders. What sort of an influence and an inspiration has she been on this journey that you're embarking on right now?
100%. Michelle has been absolutely amazing. Like I said, at Mizuho, she's been an incredible mentor for me ever since I came into college, actually. When I was in the process of trying to figure out my NIL plans and finding an agent, she was there to give me a call and say, hey, this is what I've been doing. And she would proceed to just create casual conversation about how's Stanford life? Have you been doing anything fun? So she's just such a personable person, and I really admire that about her. But yeah, she definitely, we have touched on, you know, the expectations and how to balance school life with professional life, because that's exactly what she did. And I don't know anyone else at Stanford who really did that, balancing, especially tour life. So just being able to kind of nitpick at her and figure out some advice is really, really valuable. But I'm playing with her this afternoon, actually, so it'll be really incredible. I know this is her last stretch, so it's really special, and I'm really honored to be able to have that 9 holes to really talk to her and have a good time.
Really interested in your preparation. I mean, with your remarkable success as an amateur and now even in professional golf, how do you approach the mental and physical aspects of the game so that you consistently perform at such a high level?
Certainly. I'm still trying to figure out what the most effective week preparation is for me, since this is my 3rd week officially being on tour. But I will say that there is a lot that goes into it. Just mentally preparing myself involves a lot of work. I try to take as much rest as I can, a lot of sleep. That's very valuable for any athlete, any person who wants to function properly. And I think I also just have been kind of building my team, just understanding the people and the dynamics around me that will enable me to become better as a person and not drain a lot of energy out of me. I think the people who really give me a lot of help and a lot of energy, a lot of support, that plays a huge role in my daily life. But on the preparation side, I have my coaches, I have my fitness trainer, and we've just been doing a lot of mobility, a lot of little work, fundamental work, and that just keeps me grounded to be able to go out there and do what I need to.
Since that 63 wasn't televised, can you give us some of the highlights from the day and maybe what you replay in your mind?
It was quite funny because that day was almost a little bit of a blur just because I felt like I was just on autopilot. It was quite windy, actually. David, he was my caddy at Pebble during that event. He actually walked out with me yesterday and walked 18 just to get a feel for everything, and it was nice to hear like his voice and see him again. But that day, apparently someone in the group kept everyone's stats, and I hit 18 greens, so that helps at Pebble because the greens are tiny. And I was able to convert a bunch of putts just left and right. Made 4 or 5 30-footers, and it was just kind of stripe show from there. So that really helped me to get to that 63.
A stripe show, that is one way to describe your game, Rose. You make it sound very easy indeed. One thing that really stood out to me about your coach at Stanford, Ann Walker, about what she said to you, what said about you, was that she could tell that you love the trophy. You love walking away with the hardware. You love to win, but it doesn't complete you. There's more to your life than just winning. What do you think she meant by that? And give us a sense of your perspective and the role that golf plays in your life along with everything else.
Exactly. I just realized, actually this realization came in high school. I was dominating junior golf, I would like to say, and I was winning a lot of AJJ invitationals, making cuts at majors. I came into contention at the ANA Inspiration in 2020, but all of that was amazing, but I just felt a little bit more empty when I came home. I didn't really know what to do with myself. I was like, I just felt like my world was a little more smaller than I anticipated or would have liked. So it was a very clear decision that I wanted to play collegiate golf and be in a college atmosphere where I can meet people and be with peers my age that are super inspirational in their own rights. So like Coach Walker said, when she first came in, we had an initial little sit-down talk in her office, and that can be a little scary, but I felt really relaxed when I was around her. She was just a great mentor, and she means super well to me and to everyone on the team. So to hear her and just get her advice and talk to her, we talked about my goals for the year and what I wanted to do in my college career. We were aware that if I played well, I had the ambition of turning professional because that's what I wanted to do later on. So it was all just laid out on the table from there. And she taught me that, hey, your golf game's there, but I do think that you just need to work on your life outside of golf and know that that's not your entire world, that's not your entire identity, and that will allow you to be be a great player for the longevity of this game, rather than just be a short-term little like spiked player that turns hot when you're just kind of there. So it's just great to hear from her, and that allows me to really place golf into a perspective of this is my profession, this is what I love to do, but there's so many other things. Character development, being able to have some hobbies outside, and being an inspiration to younger generations. These are all things that you don't have to just play golf to do. So,
winning all of these prestigious events, the USGA Junior and the Amateur and the NCAAs, all these events, it undoubtedly requires a great deal of perseverance and resiliency. And I wonder if you could just share along the way some key moments or experiences that have contributed to your mental strength that allow you to perform at such a peak level.
For sure. I realized that, especially in 2020, that was, in my opinion, my breakthrough year. At the U.S. Women's Amateur, when I won against Gabby, that was the week that I really felt a lot of adversity in myself, just because I was injured. I did a really stupid thing. Over COVID, I was hitting 400 balls, and it was basically on this really thin mat in my garage, hitting into a net because everyone was in quarantine. All the golf courses were shut down, so I did that every day and that completely ruined my wrist. I was practicing putting strokes 1,000 times, which doesn't really make sense because it throws off your tempo here and there when you're trying to practice swing 1,000 times. So that contributed to my left wrist having a wrist impingement, and I realized that being that hardcore doesn't help anything. You need balance, and I realized that as an athlete, your body is one of the most important things. It's an investment, and you need to realize how to take care of it. But when you're also in that kind of situation, you have to grind through all the events that you're playing in. And since U.S. Women's Am was put on, probably the first event that was put on during COVID, I didn't want to miss it. So I was popping Advils left and right in the morning, popping 4, in the evening popping 4, which is not good for my liver, but I did so. And it came out on top. I had no expectations, but that's when I realized, like, golf is just so unexpected. As long as you do what you can, results will show when you're able to. So that was one of the main contributing events, but also, like I said before, all the people around me have really, really just kept me grounded. My dad is constantly one to be on to me on, you hit the shot a little poorly, you should have done that, wrong club. Be on the safe side, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really cool to just see those people around me just allowing me to push myself even further.
It sounds like a typical dad who wants the best for his daughter. Rose, you have just captivated the golfing world with everything that you've achieved so far. An old head on young shoulders. You've got such a great perspective on you. We can't wait to see what you do this week. So the absolute best of luck, and thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much.